everyone, my name is Anne and this is Stephanie, and we're both exercise therapists in the Cardiac Rehab program. Today we're going to take you through some flexibility exercises, so some different stretching exercises that you can do at home. These stretching exercises are good to increase your range of motion and improve your flexibility, and can also help to reduce stiffness and decrease pain as well. Each stretch should be held for about 30 to 45 seconds. And what you should feel is you should feel a slight discomfort, and there might be a bit of tension or pulling through your muscles, but it should not feel painful. Okay, so if you feel pain, you can do either kind of a lower impact option that Stephanie's going to run you through, or looking for different exercise options, or just backing off on the stretch a little bit, so reducing a little bit of that tension in your muscles. Okay, so as I said, Stephanie's going to show you some kind of different alternatives or options to the exercises that might be more suitable for you, so you pick whichever one works best for you today. The first exercise we're going to go through is our quad stretch. So that's stretching the front of your leg, okay? So if you're doing the standing option, you're going to put the weight into one foot, and on the other side, you're going to pick up and hold that foot at the ankle, okay? You can follow along. Stephanie's doing the seated option here, so bringing her foot back behind her and then holding on to that foot. You want to stand up nice and tall, or if you're sitting in a chair, make sure you're not leaning against the back. Reach the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. You should feel a stretch along the front of your leg and that quad muscle. And think of pushing your hips forwards as well. So you don't want to be rounding through the back. You really want to think of keeping those hips square and pushing through the hips. So you'll feel a nice stretch through the front of the leg here. Good. So holding for about 30 to 45 seconds. Again, just going to where you feel that stretch, not pushing through any pain. And let's switch sides. So shifting the weight into that opposite leg, bending through that knee, holding on at the ankle, and then feeling that stretch along the front of the leg. Another cue you can think of is try to think of keeping your knees in line if you're standing. So not allowing that knee to come forwards or pull it too far back. Think of keeping the knees beside each other, feeling that stretch along the front of the leg. And again, if you're seated and you have the option, you can hold the foot, or else just bringing that foot behind you on the floor. If you're standing, you can also hold onto a chair or something sturdy for balance as well. Next one we'll do is a hamstring stretch. So that's stretching the back of your leg. So what you're going to do for this one, you're going to put your weight into one leg. The other leg is going to come out in front of you. You're going to have your heel on the floor and your toes up in the air. So as if you were going to press a gas pedal while driving. What you're then going to do is sit your hips back down behind you and fold at the waist. Okay, so think of bringing your chest over top of that foot, and you should feel a nice stretch along the back of your leg. Okay, it's the same situation if you're seated. So you've got that heel on the floor, pressing that chest over and folding at the hips, and going to a point where you're feeling that nice stretch along the back of the legs. Again, try to keep your back nice and straight so you're not rounding through the back. Staying nice and straight. Good, and that's 30 seconds. Let's switch to the other side. So shifting that weight into the other leg, putting that foot forwards, heel on the floor, sitting your hips back down behind you, folding at the hips, and feeling that stretch along the back of your leg. You will notice here that if you point the toe, some of that stretch comes off the back of the leg. So with this one, it is really important that you're flexing that foot, so bringing those toes towards your face. So getting that nice stretch there through the hamstrings. Good. Coming up, another leg exercise that we can do is our calf stretch. Okay, so for this one, you're going to step forwards with one leg. The other leg's going to come behind you, so kind of almost in a lunge position. And you're going to push that heel down. So try to think of pushing that heel towards the floor to feel a nice stretch along the calf. Try to keep that back leg straight while really focusing on keeping that heel pushing into the floor. If you're seated, you can put one leg out in front of you, just like you did for that hamstring stretch with your heel on the floor. And if you've got a towel, a belt, or some kind of rope that you can wrap around your foot to kind of assist that stretch, that would be great. So Stephanie's using a belt here, and just pulling back on her toes. So pulling and flexing that foot back towards her face to get a nice stretch through the calf. Good, and let's switch sides. So doing the same thing on the other side, so stepping forwards with that one leg and stepping back with that back leg, and really thinking of pressing that heel into the ground, feeling that nice stretch along the lower part of your leg. Good. Again, if you're doing it in a chair, make sure you're sitting up nice and tall and you're not leaning against the back of the chair for this one. Good, and that was 30 seconds there. The next stretch we're gonna do is a stretch for kind of our bum muscles, okay? So if you're standing up, again, you can have a chair or a stable surface that you can hold on to for this one. You're gonna shift the weight into one of your legs, and with the other leg, you're gonna make almost a 4. So if you look, my legs look like they're in the position of a 4. You're then gonna sit your bum back down behind you. Okay, so you really again want to think of folding over at the waist, bringing your chest over top of the legs and pushing forward. You should feel a nice stretch in that leg. If you're doing the seated option, it's the exact same position. So bringing that one leg over top and crossing it onto that knee and pushing down as far as feels comfortable. Good, and let's switch sides. So shifting the weight into that other leg, bringing that one foot up, crossing the ankle over top of the knee, and then sitting the hips back down behind you. Really pushing those hips back behind you and bringing your chest over top of your legs. Try to keep that foot flexed, okay? So that's gonna help to protect the knee. Good, and really keeping in mind that whether you're choosing the standing or seated option of any of these stretches, you're still getting the benefits of the stretch. It just kind of whatever feels best for your level today. Good, and coming up. So we're gonna go into some exercises for our upper body now. So the first one we're gonna do is for our upper back and our neck, okay? So what you're gonna do with this one, you're gonna clasp your hands together and you're simply just gonna round through your upper back. Good, so you're thinking of almost as if you were holding onto a string and someone was pulling it away from you, really rounding through the back. I'll turn to the side here so you can see. You want a nice round through the upper back. You can tilt your chin slightly down as well, so bring that chin in towards your chest. You'll just feel a nice release along your upper back and along the back of your neck. Coming out of that one, we're gonna do kind of an opposite stretch now. So chest stretching across our chest. You're gonna clasp your hands together behind your back. Again, you can do the same one if seated. And you're gonna pull back, so open up through the chest and try to think of lifting your hands off of your back. So the farther you lift your hands away from your back, the more of a stretch you're gonna get. Good, standing up or sitting up nice and tall, and making sure we're breathing through all these exercises. So there's a bit of a tendency sometimes to hold your breath when you're holding a stretch. So really making sure that you're breathing into the exercise. It's gonna help you to actually increase that range and get more out of the exercise. Good, and releasing there. The next one we'll do is for our shoulders and our upper back. So you're gonna bring one arm across your chest, okay? So that arm is coming right across your chest at shoulder height, keeping that hand up at shoulder height. With the other hand, you're simply holding on just above the elbow here, and then you're gonna push in towards the chest. So bringing that arm in towards your chest, opening up through that shoulder and through the upper part of your back. So you're applying pressures through this hand, trying to hold above the elbow so you're not pushing through that joint. Good, and let's switch sides. So bringing that other arm across the chest, applying pressure just above the elbow there. And making sure we're breathing through the exercises. And and release. Our last exercise today is going to be for our tricep muscle. So the tricep is along the back of your arm. So for this one, again, it's the same seated versus standing. And what you're going to do is you're going to bring one arm up overhead. Think of reaching that hand. You're trying to touch the back of your neck or that upper part of your back. Okay, with the other hand, you can bring that arm up, apply slight pressure to that elbow. Okay, so it's a downward pressure. So you're actually trying to help that arm reach further down your back. The more flexible you are, the farther down your back you'll be able to reach. Once you feel that little bit of a stretch, you want to hold it there. Good, and let's swap sides. So bringing that other arm, reaching down the back, and then using that hand to apply a bit of downward pressure to the point where you're feeling that comfortable stretch. All right, and release. So that's it for today. So we ran through a variety of different flexibility exercises that you can put into your exercise routine at home. We do have our flexibility package available on our website as well, or you can always speak to your exercise therapist for a printout of all the exercises that we did today. Thank you for joining us.